children of non-hetero couples are considered the most planned for children. Whether through surrogacy, adoption, or pregnancy through a father or a sperm donor, these couples are intentional about when they would like children to be a part of their lives. In most countries, non-hetero couples have to prove they constitute a family in order to have access to the various benefits as well as to be allowed to adopt a child. So where do our queer mothers fit in? They live in a grey area of the ideal family that the society has created. But we mustn't only blame the society. The media is largely complicit and central in defining mother identities. They have visualized for us what normal families look like and reject the women and men whose identities fall outside the hetero norm. But by repeatedly showing us the ideal mother, the non-hetero mothers then stick out, and she, he, they use these opportunities to share alternative narratives of motherhood. We would love to speak to non-hetero couples who are currently parenting or attempting to have children and hear from them what their experience of motherhood has been. We are also curious to see how the social construct of motherhood plays out in their unions. We hope that by doing this, we will create awareness and empathy for those in non-traditional families and hopefully drive conversations that will lead to a reduction in the hurdles they have to jump through to experience motherhood.
I feel like this whole sexualizing queer people, I mean, people look at me and they're like, hey, so how do you guys have sex? How do you? And that's the first thing people think of, having sex differently. People overlook the fact that we are just individuals and that's it. Because I don't ask you how, you know, some people brush their teeth like this and some people brush their teeth like this. So that's the only difference, but we are just, I mean, individuals. We are just, I just like fries and you like avocado. So that's just it. So my name is Sylvia Atieno. Everybody calls me Mama Howie. I've even forgotten my name. I love music. It was actually my first language. I think my family is also a bit musical. I love food. I love good food. I mean, I make good food, so. And one thing that I like to claim I am, is I'm a queer activist and I'm a feminist. And I also really, really love my child. I feel like me getting him in when I was really young has really sort of made me grow up. Like, we've grown up together. I sit down and I think about the things that I've changed about me, and there are so many, and it's mostly because of him, because I had to become very responsible at a very young age. I adored kids. And I remember even in church, when mothers wanted to listen to the sermon and their babies were disturbing them, I used to be the one who would take care of their kids and just walk them around church and just sort of engage them. And so for me, motherhood, I used to feel like it's the best thing that can happen to someone. I conceived when I was 17 and I gave birth when I was like 18. First of all, I was really young. And then I was the firstborn my parents were deacons then in church. So you can imagine just how it looks in the eye of the church. It was very messy. And I went into depression. I was so confused. Even me, I was really disappointed in myself. Like, how could you? Because I was such a grounded person. Of course, I had the cheekiness of a Form 2 and all that. But I was very grounded, even the things that I did. I did what I would call very basic, you know, very basic. My mischief was very basic. So now that I've gotten myself to a point where I have a whole child, what do I do with this child? This is now my child. This is not just someone who I see on Sunday and I take care of, and your parent has to go and take care of child for the whole week. So it was very depressing for me. And then now also having the gaze of the church, now you have really disappointed us. My parents, of course, were very disappointed. But I remember one thing my dad told me is that we are going to do this. We are going to handle this. And I remember one day my mom, she's a doctor and she was working in Sudan when she finally came to Kenya to see me. After a few days, she told me, can you get up and brush yourself up? You're not the first person this has happened to. And this is unfortunately going to happen to other people. So you have to brush yourself up and move on, because this child is looking up at you, you see. I was like, is this what happens? Is this what happens when you play with boys? I was very disappointed in myself and I was very disappointed in him. And so now I started pursuing the feelings that I'd had that I'd not shared with anyone. And I quickly went to the internet and I would Google things about lesbians. So my introduction to me being queer was a bit sort of mostly on the sexual side, because I had really strong sexual urges that I wanted to sort of take care of. But then now when I sort of sat down and I got exposed to the queer community in Mombasa, because that's where I was, I started learning that it's just not about sex. It's not the way it's glorified in the porn industry. It's just about sex and the way it's been westernized, or being queer is such a glorified thing. But we are people who have jobs, we have ambitions, we have, we are whole human beings. It's just that there's this aspect of us loving differently, you see? So that was the point when I realized that this is something that I've sort of been hiding, but this is so normal. It's so beautiful. I mean, I was seeing now my friends who are just people who you pass on the streets. There's nothing, there's no label on your head or something. So I feel like that was my sort of introduction to my true self. I was learning how to be a mother, how to be a queer person as I was raising him. And even now I'm still learning, because there's so many dynamics to being queer and existing, especially like in Kenya. So I feel like I was not prepared for anything. I'm learning on the job, even parenting. I feel like people usually try and pin us down with, you made this decision to be a lesbian. So you can't come and start saying, oh, you're struggling with your child in terms of how do you even have these conversations? Because they assume, but I mean, this is a decision Sylvia made. You should be able to know how to go around your child. Or, oh, you're exposing your child to bad manners. And then I think something that I really appreciate, and I've seen not only with myself, but also all the friends who I have who are queer mothers, we are very open to letting our children live their honest lives. We just guide them. And so now people now start saying, you're the ones who are raising a generation of children who are starting to pollute the good children who we already raised. But you see, for me, I usually let Howie express himself. And when he tells me, Mom, I want to be this, I just sort of guide him. I don't start telling him, no, this is wrong, this is wrong. And one thing that people have asked me so many times is, what happens if your child ends up being gay? What happens? I mean, that's just it. I will just guide him on possibly safe sex and many other things that he needs to know, just to sort of guide him. And that also comes to free will. People think that because we are queer mothers and already we are doing something that is not the norm when it comes to the society, we just live freely our lives. And something that also be associated with queer people is drugs a lot, so they're like, so it means how we will now start drinking, or I mean, I'm a mother, I want the best for him. Of course, I will guide him. So I feel people are a bit ignorant, or maybe they know, but they just don't. And something that you don't understand, you will constantly fight because you want to ask me so many questions so that I lose my shit and I'm like, okay, fine, then we do this. But because of how society has constantly oppressed us, I feel like we have nothing to do but be grounded in the positive things that we want for ourselves and our children. Because of how society refuses to accept us as individuals, what we have to do is the children that we have, we raise them in a way that you need to understand that, Babs, people are constantly going to maybe say harmful things to you because of who I am. But me, I'm teaching you to be a wholesome being. I'm teaching you how to love. I'm teaching you all that you need to do to be a good individual. I'm teaching you that there is more than just heterosexual people in this society. You will meet people who I don't even identify as, and even me, I'm constantly learning. So this is how you need to be, so to make sure that you respect everybody. This ignorance that the society is walking around with, we are not trying to pollute your children. You have the work of taking care of your child. If your child one day wakes up and feels and sees like, oh, I feel like my feelings are like this and this is what I decide to be, bring your child there, I will cancel them and I will love them with everything that I have to give. But this is not our agenda. There's no gay agenda that we are pushing. I've not seen it, and I've been queer for quite a few years. And children, the beauty of children, they actually don't know this is a straight person, they will come to a room and find love, and that they will exist in that space. And I feel like that's what has even helped me with my child, because he doesn't question, because he knows he's loved. And one thing how he does is he constantly also tells me how much he loves me. So we can just be chilling, or I can be on a video call with him, because now we've been communicating through video, and we can be talking about even a color. And then he'll randomly say, you know, mommy, I usually love you. And I feel like I've provided that environment of love, of extreme love, where he does not question anything regardless of who I am and what I believe in. Because as you just give a child love and a positive environment to thrive in, and let me tell you, we will not have these funny cases of what that we are having now.